Hello people, I am Jaby Koay and we are going to start watching Mirzapur Season 2, Episode 1. I am mildly reluctant to go into this, but I know before we start the show what to expect in terms of the level of violence and intensity and whatnot. Gore, yes, exactly. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you will be watching a 5-minute cut down. That's not to say it's going to be 5 minutes total, but just 5 minutes of picture-in-picture because that's the maximum we're allowed to show according to Amazon's email to me. If you're watching this on Patreon, you'll get to watch the entire reaction uncut. However, we can't show picture-in-picture because them's the rules, and you'll have to open up the show in a separate window adjacent to this one. And it's like you're watching the show along with your two favorite pals from the internet. So without further ado, let's jump into this, shall we? Mirzapur, Season 2, Episode 1.
Is this some sort of like thematic foreshadowing? Is it going to get crushed? Oh.
I really wish they didn't start with that
Zindahe.
shot.
It lives. What does it mean?
I really wish they didn't start with that.
Is that representative of Guddu coming along to like sting them?
Know. I don't care. I just don't
bite
like
them?
the CGI.
I thought it looked cool for in the beginning when it was further away.
When it was but then it got closer and you could see the
computerness of it.
Yeah, something just felt off.
Yeah, uncanny valley of scorpions. Oh.
It's either a dream or a flash forward.
Yeah. Oh shit. Oh.
Who do you think you are, John Abraham?
That mofo won't die. Damn, he's got like bullet holes and everything.
What you think? ये कालीन भैया है। सबकी माँ चोद देंगे। मुन्ना भैया, इनकी माँ आपकी दादी हुई। है ना बाबूजी? 5-6 हुए, फिर भी मरे नहीं हम अमर।
पापा की विरासत ये तो नहीं हो सकती ना कि 2 लौंडे बीच चौराहे पे उन्हें मार के चले जाएं।
उसके लिए तो मिर्जापुर लेना होगा ना। तुम्हारे पापा तो यही चाहते थे।
जीत की गारंटी तभी है जब जीत और हार दोनों तुम्हारे कंट्रोल में हो।
Yep.
She's dangerous.
She is, yeah. I feel like she's gonna be like the brains of the operation, but he seemed pretty smart too from season 1. They might be formidable foes. I'm very curious about him.
आपकी बेटी के रिसेप्शन पे जो हुआ, अगर आपको कुछ याद आया हो तो
हमें कुछ मालूम नहीं कि वो लोग कौन थे।
You're lying.
Why is he protecting them?
Because he does business with them.
आप जानते तो हैं मन्ना को, फिर काहे नहीं बताया उसका?
Damn, let them get out of earshot first. Jesus, he's right to it. You know who Muna is.
Oh, he wants to get his own revenge.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Oh, and also opium. Stealing all the food?
It seems like drugs, or everything.
Groceries.
Like medicine.
Yeah. Well, they can't show themselves.
सीता और गीता चुपके देख रही थी मामला।
Oh.
लेकिन बोली कुछ नहीं।
He knows they're there.
हाथ दीजिए।
तुम हमको बताया काहे नहीं रही हो हम कहाँ हैं? हमको मिर्जापुर ले चलो।
चलो, हम तुम सबको मार डालेंगे। हमको ऐसा जाना है। चलो।
उठिए और जाइए मिर्जापुर। ऐसा करिए, पहले ये उठा के दिखाइए। हो गया?
Damn. She shut him right up.
Is he still coming off the drugs, you think?
Maybe. Maybe that's also what's informing his like super aggressive behavior.
His psychosis.
Yeah.
Psychotic behavior.
गोली खा लो, बुखार उतर जाएगा। तभी तो कमरा में आओगी हमारे।
Ugh.
What's she gonna do? Shoot him?
Not right now. She's gonna get him back though.
बैठिए गुप्ता जी। हम आपके दुख को समझते हैं।
कैसे भैया जी? औलाद हमारी मरी है, आपकी नहीं। काहे मारे आप हमारी स्वीटी को? उससे क्या दुश्मनी थी?
दुश्मनी नहीं, प्यार था, इसलिए मारे।
Oh my God.
I'm surprised they just let the cop walk in, like, chill. Because he could have just came up and, like, he would have lost his shit and just, you know, started shooting up the place. It's his daughter.
Yeah.
सर, हम आपको ज्वाइन करना चाहते हैं मिर्जापुर को क्राइम से साफ करने में।
थोड़ा लेट हो गए आप। हमारी आंखों के सामने हमारी पूरी टीम को ठोक दिए। अब ये सब सोच के देख के ना हमारी रीढ़ की हड्डी ठंडी पड़ गई। आपकी फैमिली तो डिस्ट्रॉय हो गई, हमको अपनी करवानी नहीं है। जैसे आपका चल रहा था डिपार्टमेंट में, चला रहे थे आप, वो चलाते रहिए चुपचाप। समझे आप? हाँ जी, हेलो।
Wow.
Yeah. He had the living bejesus scared out of him.
खाइए और अपना।
तुमको एक चीज दिखाएं बढ़िया, मुंह फेरो उधर।
Oh God.
इसकी माँ का एनाकोंडा। लो, ट्राई करो। हम पे करो। हम पे ट्राई करो।
He's
बोले थे
crazy.
ना, हमें कोई नहीं मार सकता। भैया जी, भोसड़ी के बोले फायर करने को तो करो। खाली थी। भोसड़ी के अमर हैं, चूतिया नहीं है। हाँ भैया जी।
Oh my God.
आपके का काम काहे कर रहे हो?
ताऊ जी, ये रही दोनों। यही है जो कट्टा लेके पूरे गांव में चोरी करती फिर रही हैं।
अरे मादरचोद, उठाइए पंडित जी को।
Oh. Oh. Oh.
What's that?
Oh. It was a needle. A syringe. With a. Oh God. Uh-oh. Now, do you know how to use a gun? Do you know how to use a gun now, lady? Oh, God. Okay. Well, you definitely know how to shoot. Need to work on the aiming. Ah! Maybe, like, look. Yeah. Okay. Now you're screwed. Okay, okay. Oh, God. Oh,
What was
God.
her plan?
What was your plan? Like, come with a big stick or something. Ah! I mean, he's a small guy. You got this, girl. Eyeballs. Eyeballs. Okay, beard works. Beard works. Ha. Oh, God. Hey. Okay. Oh, no. Now you gotta get his knife. You gotta make sure he's down. Okay, I think he's done. What? Oh! Oh! Oh God, that's nasty. You can't let him walk away.
अचानक कैसे आना हुआ मिर्जापुर?
बजाई गई हमारी त्रिपाठी और अब हमें तुम्हारी बजानी है। हमने कहा था वायलेंस कम करो त्रिपाठी, वायलेंस कम करो, लेकिन नहीं। पहले वो रति शंकर को निपटा दी और उधर शादी में तांडव मचा दी। हम अपनी मर्जी से नहीं आए। सीएम भैया भेजे हैं और ये रिक्वेस्ट नहीं है, आदेश है।
क्या चाहिए?
मुन्ना चाहिए।
Damn.
वही किए हैं ना ये वायलेंस।
That's not happening.
24 आवर का टाइम दे रहे हैं, उसके बाद खुद उठवा लेंगे।
Wow. What a request. The plot thickens, you see. How did you feel about that as a first episode for season 2?
I thought it was really interesting because from where we left off in season 1, a lot of the characters are having to go through some major changes. Like the two most powerful characters, being Munna Baya and Gudu Baya, are now incapacitated and they're kind of having to get back to their normal strength again. And then like the two girls, they've had to change as well. To date, they've not been involved in any of the violence really in terms of being active in that, but now things have changed, and so in order to survive they have to adapt, and they had to basically kill and hurt some people in order to survive. They're processing a lot of the grief, or they're unable to. So that moment where they're basically attacking those two aggressors, that's also them kind of letting out their rage and anger and grief as well.
Sure.
Like they're not able to process. They just have to keep moving. It's adapt, survive, or die.
It's interesting where they decided to start this season off, because they didn't jump forward in time. They didn't really explain what happened, how Munna survived. There was a shootout and somehow he got away.
Yep.
And I suppose the details are not necessarily important. What's important is that he survived. But that goes back to the issue I had with the ending of season 1, which is like, show me, don't just tell me. You know, like, I can't remember the whole thing, but I just remember them having the cops. There was no lead up to it. It was just they just had them.
Yeah.
And that was that. You know, there's all this build up to this supposed face-off that may or may not happen between Tripathi and the head police officer. And it just doesn't really culminate towards that. It seemed like it was culminating towards that, and then suddenly he has him, and you just bypass all of that. And so here we sort of bypassed that exit. Like, that to me would have been an interesting place to start, was like, how the hell did he get away? Show me how he got away. And instead we just skip all that. He's in this bed and he's bedridden. He's healing, huh?
He's having a dream.
He's having a dream, which looked weird. There was a lot of buildup in that dream as well. You had the cars riding up with the scorpion, and then like the car upside down. It was just a lot for that moment to come to find out it's just a dream, right?
Yeah, but it was also surprising that it wasn't Gudu's dream, but it was Munna's, because that's what I was expecting. I thought it was Gudu's.
It's probably a fear of his that's deep underneath. And you're right, it is a little bit strange considering that he considers himself immortal.
Yeah.
But in the dream, he's afraid.
Well, he was, and then he wasn't, because then
he survives
comes back and he's like, I won't die, I can't die,
right?
You know, blah blah blah.
He's at the edge of the cliff.
Yeah, it just kind of feeds into his whole narcissism,
right?
You know, because he thinks he's all that in a bag of chips. I'm glad that he's not that stupid, because I did genuinely think at that moment when he gave his friend the gun, I was like, is he really that dumb?
Well, they wouldn't kill off his character.
Yeah.
So
at least not in the first episode, because I was like, are they gonna do that? Are they just gonna kill him in the first episode?
No, they wouldn't do that. The writers thus far have shown us that they wouldn't just do that.
Yeah, I mean, they'd probably wait until the end or something if they were gonna do that.
Right.
You know?
But I mean, that would be a dumb way for him to go out.
Yeah.
I don't think the writers would do that. The look of, what's the name of the guy who is inheriting the throne in Jaipur? Sharad. I like his look a lot.
Yeah.
And they barely showed him in season 1 for obvious reasons. It was just to set him up as the person to take over. I really appreciate his look. I appreciate his acting quite a bit. I mean, the acting across the board is pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's stellar.
But him being the new guy, I feel compelled to talk about him. I think that he's doing a really good job of handling this person who's inheriting this new role, this position that he never really wanted, but he's taking it out of loyalty to his father in order to honor his whatever, his
dying wish.
His dying wish. But I was going to say honor his
legacy.
Legacy, that's what that is. Thank you. Honor his legacy, his reputation. His handling of that in the acting is really cool. His handling it as a character is really cool. I think the writing there is interesting. It's strategic, and what they called it out in the show, which is he's educated, he's smart, so that makes him a much more formidable enemy as opposed to someone who's just impulsive. He's strategic.
Him and his mother are gonna be some formidable foes as well, because the whole thing with the chess, I mean, mean, that's very representative of a battle of war, right? Because chess is basically how to be strategic in war.
It's the most obvious analogy you can go to, but yeah.
But it works. It works in that situation, and
Yeah.
you can kind of get a sense that his mom is probably a very cunning person, and I wouldn't underestimate her in future episodes. I think that she will have a strong part to play, or at least I hope so.
I can't really commit to this opinion that I'm about to share without watching the entire season, but I'm wondering if it would have been better if they actually jumped forward further in time rather than starting here, rather than starting at everybody's injured, everybody's healing.
And now we have to take the time to get them to heal. Like I think I'm kind of with you on that, where like I was kind of expecting it to be several months down the line and they're all pretty much healed and it's like, all right, action, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, if not fully healed, further along in the healing process.
Rather than completely broken.
Right, and so I really wish they showed us how he got away. Maybe that'll come up later on. I doubt it. I don't think. This show does have a habit of like just doing something and then it doesn't really come back.
Yeah.
As we established with the masturbation scene, it's like that never really...
Yeah, like what's that about?
It never really paid off as set up for what? Nothing. Maybe that got cut out. Maybe there was a thing in season 1 that just got edited out for time, for proper narrative. Like it was
censorship. But that would surprise me because like they've done a lot of stuff here, which is
I don't think censorship is a thing. I think it was more of like other restrictions that we just don't know about as the viewer.
Right.
So if there was even a payoff at all, we have a lot of things that are set up in this first episode as to things that'll be coming up along the way, including Tripathi's wife.
Yes.
Who's still,
it's an awful situation, but I think being the character that she is, I mean, right now, obviously, she feels super grossed out by everything and she doesn't want anything to do with Grandpa Tripathi, but I think that she is going to plot her way out of this one.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I think she'll probably kind of just keep it copacetic and do whatever, all the while thinking of a way to kill him, like maybe poison his food or something so that he dies and it doesn't turn into a thing. Or it might just be the gun that has been set up since season 1 and then in this episode, and maybe it'll culminate in like a big showdown at the end of the season.
Yeah. It's hard to really critique a first episode to the season. It's like it's a follow-up episode, right?
Yeah.
But I am wondering why they spent so much time on the things that they did, because Gudu is really our lead character. It's an ensemble cast, but he's really the lead.
Yeah.
And we barely spent any time with him in this episode. And the reason why is because he's mostly unconscious.
Yeah.
Right? And that's why I'm like, well, we could have probably started further along in the journey then, where he's showing Golu how to use the gun and whatnot. Because we aren't that far along in the journey, it made sense the way everything played out in the hospital room at the end of the episode, where she was still struggling with the gun, and then the transition to being willing to hit the cop with the gun and then stabbing him, which is a very crime of passion kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
That transition, I suppose, that is justified given what they set up, because they've established that not that much time has passed, so her evolution isn't that much further along. Because she hasn't been trained. She hasn't learned how to use the gun yet. Like, she has the gun, but like no one has taught her, and Gudu is the dude who has to kind of shepherd her towards the next stage of her evolution, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. And I think she could also potentially be someone to be reckoned with, because as seen from season 1, she is someone who is willing to play the politics game. She's super smart, and like Gudu needs that because he's lost his compass. He's lost Bablu, and like he's gonna need someone to be the brains of the operation, because I mean, he's very, very passionate. He doesn't think with his head like Sweetie, he thinks with his heart, and he just acts impulsively, so he needs someone to kind of rein him in and be like, dude, no, you can't do that.
Okay, so Dimpy's still wrestling with the fact that she lost her brother.
Yeah.
I don't remember a whole lot of her skill set, shall we say, from season 1.
I remember in the first fight when Munna and his goons came to their house, she was feisty.
But I don't remember what she did.
I think she stuck a guy with a fork.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just a little bit confused as to what her plan was when she went after the dude outside the hospital. Like, what were you trying to do?
I think she was right in that, like, if he got away to the village or wherever, then he clearly has a big mouth. So he's going to talk to people. But she didn't finish him off.
She didn't bring a weapon. She didn't bring anything.
Yeah, she just kind kind of ran after him, and then she managed to get him, but then when it came down to the wire, she wasn't able to kill him, which I was actually kind of surprised about. But then Golu was able to kill the dude, even though initially she was like completely inept and like you could see she was really struggling. And so I don't know what's gonna happen with that, because he's gonna talk, like they're gonna have to move. They're not safe anymore. And so there's that. There's a lot of different layers going on, because you've got Lala and the, you know, the whole opium business, and obviously the revenge that he's gonna want to exact on the Tripathis. You have Sharad, who wants revenge. You've got Gudu and girls who want revenge. Like everyone is against the Tripathis, and of course the politician guy as well. And at that very last moment, coming in saying like, "Hey, I want you to give up your son."
Yeah,
he's not gonna do that.
I thought that was an interesting scene.
That was an interesting scene.
The way the tables had turned a little bit there, I liked it. I mean, Tripathi was finally like fighting back verbally, which is something he'd been wanting to do for a while. That was clear. There was like that bubbling under the surface sort of tension in season 1. That scene when Golu killed the corrupt cop, the action of it, I was on board with. I'm like, all that makes sense. It just looked a little bit funny to me.
I wasn't watching. I couldn't watch.
Oh, it looked a little bit funny to me because I'm like, okay, well, I don't know how sharp this thing is in her hand.
It's a piece of glass. It's pretty sharp.
It just didn't seem like she was coming down with much force.
Well, if anything, it probably would have cut her hands in the process, right?
Right.
It's a piece of glass, but she would have to do it with a lot of force.
I mean, the action is the same at the end, and the consequences are the same. I would just, you know, the show spent so much time on doing things at a very believable level in terms of the violence. That was the one moment where I was like, don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There was the one violent moment in the show where I was like, my suspension of disbelief is working right now with this particular violent moment. But what I am glad about in that moment is that they did not like emphasize on the piercing of the wounds. It was more about like the thing going on in your mind. I
think that's why I couldn't watch it. It was the sound effects too, like that.
Well, that's what made it worse for you because you weren't looking. Yeah.
The squishy sound effects. I was just like,
yeah.
I can't.
They deliberately didn't show you the cop getting stabbed. They showed her action. They showed the blood hitting her. They showed the result.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a lot more effective because it puts it in your head like what's going on as opposed to just showing it to you and making it as gory as possible.
So it's like shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's more important there isn't so much the violence, but action and what it means to the characters.
Yeah, she's crossed a line now.
Yes.
And I think, and another character that kind of changed positions, in fact, two, were the two cops in Mirzapur. So Sweetie's dad. Now, obviously, he's like, okay, well, Munna's killed my baby girl. And so
I still thought that was weird that they just let him walk in. He's got a gun. He's armed.
But he's always been on their side. But yeah, he did just lose a daughter.
Yeah.
But he came in super calm. So, like, I don't know. I guess that's the confidence of the Tripathis, is that even though Munna literally just killed this guy's daughter who he loves dearly, Mr. Tripathi can still be like, yeah, I have full confidence that you're not going to do anything in my house.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's dumb.
Balls.
It's pretty ballsy. But then the other cop, the head cop at the police station, then he changed his tune too, which was actually surprising to me.
Yeah, he abandoned his post.
Because he seemed to be so like committed and gung-ho about that. But I get it.
I almost wish they extended that out. It's almost like the show's become very binary. It's either this way or this way, and it's like what shows and movies are about, like seeing things play out. It's not just consequence and then consequence this way, you know? And so, okay, fine. He watched his whole team get decimated in front of him. What does he do with that?
Yeah, like wouldn't you want to do something about that? Like, what could you do now? Like, he understands how powerful Tripathi is.
Yeah.
But is there anything that he can do to, you know, subvert that?
I suppose the show, it would have detracted too much from what they're trying to focus on, because in my mind, what would have been interesting is if you have that head officer with the corrupt cop who lost his daughter, and you see them switching places from where they were in the last season.
Like, in terms of leadership?
In terms of leadership, in terms of who's loyal to Tripathi?
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Like, the transition between that and then him having to, like, kill the lead cop because he's corrupt and he's retiring from his position of being a goon for Tripathi. That would have been interesting, and that would have been, like, very Games of Thrones-y. You know, like,
I mean, this is still the first episode of the season, so
but it
maybe
it would have been very Jamie Lannister, in my opinion, like if they were able to make that happen.
Yeah.
But the cop abandoned his post, and the goon who works for the Chakrathi family who lost his daughter, he's still there. Obviously, he's got that dilemma that he's working with now, and so we have yet to see where that goes because there's a whole season in front of this first episode.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, that would have been an interesting transition using those actors because those are both very capable actors. It felt a little bit lazy in that area, but I can't commit to that thought without watching the entire season.
Yeah.
You know?
Because, all of this stuff could just be setting up for other things.
Right.
I think as a first episode, it was definitely good. Like, I thought it was interesting. Like, it gets me kind of curious for what's going to happen next, which I think a first episode of a season 2 has to do. Like, it's wrapping up everything from season 1 and it's kind of moving it forward.
Yeah.
So it did that successfully in my eyes.
It was definitely a first episode.
Yeah. We got questions.
I don't know if I can call it good. I can call it a first episode. And so it was interesting. It's got me curious. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm not committing to the word good on anything until I finish out this season.
Okay.
Because it might drive me away.
All right.
You know, so we'll see. We
enough.
already know that there are lots of people who did not appreciate this season as much as the first one. So I'm just walking in cautiously optimistic. I didn't hate this episode, but I didn't love it either.
I didn't love it. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah, it's a first episode. It's what do you call it?
Possible.
Adequate.
Serviceable.
It's an adequate first episode.
Yeah.
So let's go from there and see
Good.
what happens. So thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Let us know your feelings in the comments below. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, hit that bell icon, all notifications. If you're watching this on Patreon, thanks so much for supporting us here on the Patreon. Very much appreciated. I am Jaby Koay. This is
Achara Kirk.
Peace out.